Alright, and welcome back. So, my name is Avia Vulpes, and I'm a tech-focused VTuber. Sorry about that, setting up the scenes for into the stream. Yeah, I forgot how OBS works. Anyway, so yeah, a bit of a delayed stream today because yesterday I was planning on streaming, but I didn't quite have everything set for this, so delayed it a day to do it today instead. So finally getting onto the stream that I've been talking about for a couple of weeks now about coding up an AI system to basically keep me company during streams. This is what I'm going to be doing today. I've got a working prototype now, but this is going to be basically starting the actual code base that I'm going to be working from going forwards with it. So the idea for today, you can see I'm in PyCharm. I've got just the default application it gives you when you set up a project. I'm using Python 3.9, which I don't know if I've got the right packages installed yet, but we'll go through that when it comes to it. I'm not using that many packages, to be fair, because most of what I'm doing is cloud-based. So I just need a couple of libraries to access the cloud services, and that's it. So basically, the way that this assistant is going to work is that it's not going to actually take care of any specific things in the stream for me. It's just basically there to talk to me. Eventually, if I ever get big enough to be monetized, I'd like it to also take care of reading out super chats, but yeah, that's a long way away for me yet. So for now, it's just going to be basically chatting. I did manage to get it working yesterday, so yeah, we're working off that code as a template for how to basically do this. I'm probably going to come back to this code base later. I don't know if I'm going to necessarily stream it or not. For now, I'm just going to put everything into one class or into one file, but eventually I want to make it more object oriented with actual what about chat? I just realised. Maybe not. Anyway, so yeah, I want to make it more object oriented, just a lot much cleaner code base. So I've rearranged my windows right now. Go that, and then okay, so I've got chat up now just in case, and I've got sample code, so I have everything that I need. So basically there's going to be 4 major components to this that I'm going to need to do today. So in case you haven't guessed, I'm using Python to do all of this. Oh, by the way, I'm a C# developer professionally, so I've not worked too much with Python. So I do apologise for any mistakes I might make using Python today, because yeah, C# is quite a bit different to Python. Anyway, different parts that we're going to need is number 1, I'm going to do speech recognition. 2 will then be passing it into ChatGPT to figure out what to respond with. 3 will be speech synthesis, aka TTS. And that's STT, speech to text and text to speech. And then 4, be a basic avatar animation. So I'm not going to be doing anything fancy, no like specific vtuber model just for the AI avatar. I've literally just quickly thrown together an image in Krita, and then it's going to be kind of like the Discord, dark when not active, light when active. So kind of PNG tuber, if you will. So yeah, these are the main components that I'm going to be needing to handle everything. So this, and this. So I've already signed up for an Azure speech services account. Well, it's just an Azure account. There's not speech services on there, which handles both of these. Basically, I chose Azure because, well, partly because I'm familiar with it already from using it at work, but also because when I was looking around, people generally say that it works slightly better than Google Cloud and AWS for the speech stuff, and it's also a lot more affordable for the individual. In fact, you get a lot of free time before you have to start paying anything with the Azure stuff. So with luck, all I have to pay for is ChatGPT, and that's it. Certainly for what I'm doing right now, that's all I'm going to be paying for. And tokens of that aren't too expensive. So let's get into it. So start with the imports. The import OS, because I've got the API keys set up as environment variables. So that way I'm not going to be leaking them on stream. I'm going to then want azure.com. Okay, so I don't have the package installed. What it's called now. There we go, cognitive services speech. That's the one that I want. So install that. But a confusing thing with the UX on this is there's no visual feedback that you've actually pressed that. You have to check down here that Pygame is actually installed the package. We get cognitive services speech. And they recommend naming that. So next we're going to want OpenAI. It's for the ChatGPT stuff. I believe that is the package. So I'm using Python 3.9 in this environment because it's just what I had installed. So now is installed, and finally handle the avatar. We need Pygame. I do eventually want to add animations and stuff onto the avatar, but I'm still very new to all of this, so I'm just does remind me actually I do need to bring the images in. Do that. So the image is there now. So I undid it. Cool. Yeah, for some reason when you do that, it actually moves the images, not copies them. So I lost it on my original project, but you guys have to copy and paste it back in. Right, so I'll leave the comments up there for what I need to do. First stuff is going to be the Azure config. So subscription. Will be my environment variable. Set that to that. Name of comma. So next one is set up the language. So basically what I'm doing here is setting up my subscription key. So Azure knows what account it's going to, and the region, so it knows which region, which data center to look for the resource in. At the moment, I've got a spec for EU West, I think it is, which is in the Netherlands. Language is going to be again -GB. And then I need the speech synthesis voice name. It's the one I'm going for. So it's a British female one, the default female voice, basically. They've got a whole studio that you can play around with completely free to see what all the different voices are. You don't even need an account for it. You can just look up the Azure Speech Studio, I think it is. You can test it all out in there. So a new variable should be for config for the audio going in. So just trying to use the default microphone, which at the moment I've got set up to be the NVIDIA AI microphone input, so the same as what I'm using for OBS. That should generally help give a much clearer signal going in. So I found before when I was testing that if I just use the raw microphone input, it can there's like traffic sounds or something in the background, then it can pick those up and try and synthesize that. Whereas with the NVIDIA stuff, it filters out all of that, so it gives you much cleaner input. So let's next set up the output for the speech synthesis. No, not audio, speech. No. There's one thing I don't like about the complete on PyCharm. I'm used to Visual Studio where you type in and it gives you everything case insensitive. PyCharm is case sensitive, so I need to remember to capitalize as appropriate. I guess in a way is a good thing, but yeah, it's just not the workflow that I'm used to with Visual Studio. Okay, I know I missed a line. Apologies, let me just... This should go on this line. The SDK, not the config. Oh, there you go, audio output config. And it's just using the default speaker. So this is what I've got. Basically, this is my headphones at the moment because that's what I've got selected in. That's what I've got selected in Windows at the moment. What's this saying? Okay, just a slight formatting thing with PyCharm. Just telling you about. Okay, so now onto the ChatGPT stuff. And once again, I've got this up as a OS environment variable. So there's no leaking of the keys on this. So I need a string variable for the model. I'm going to use GPT 3.5 because I'm not paying for the subscription to get the version 4. Okay, so maximum tokens is how many tokens ChatGPT will spend to return a response, and the temperature is kind of, I think, how random the response is. 1 is the default. And then this is the default prompt I'm going with. So basically, I'm setting up the name, purpose, maybe like a sassy, sarcastic personality, and then just some extra behavior to try and guide how I want the ChatGPT to be responding. I'm also actually going to need one final variable for chat history, which needs to be an array. Because basically the way this works, when you call the API, it does not remember your conversation. So you have to actually provide it with the history. So that means every time I make a prompt and get a response, I need to log that into the history every single time. So now I need to do Pygame stuff. This is just the chat window. Type in those. Sorry, I am a .NET developer, so I do like static typing where possible. So basically what I've done here, set the bounds for how big the window is going to be that the avatar is going to display in, and then set the offset so it's not really against one edge, it's actually slightly offset from the edge. So that is setting the so I've got the first one there. I go in display set mode, is just setting the actual, that's telling it that I want to use these for the width and the height. And the fill is telling it to, let's use these red, green, blue values. So in this case, it's all green. So basically it's a green background, which I can then use to add a chroma key for transparency in OBS. But yeah, Astrid is the name that I'm going for the assistant. It was, as you might see from the project, originally be Astrid, but that's not actually a word that the speech recognition recognizes. So I'm using Astrid because it does recognize that. What else do I need? So these are the images that I just imported in. I'll probably go back in later on and also update the naming to be more consistent. Yeah, it's not idle, that's talk. Especially, yeah, the dark and the light images will be for when it's talking, when it's idle. And then set the color key. I don't actually remember if this even was anything, but I've got it in the code. But add my prototype in it, that works. So yeah, maybe I'll play around with it later. What's this complaining about? Oh, there's double brackets in there. So blit is basically render. It's going to be now pushing that image to the screen when this runs. And then it's going to be positioning it at the offsets. So basically 30 pixels to the left, or 30 pixels right, because it's always top left is 0, 0. So 30 in the X and 30 down in the Y. So finding the additional config. I'm not going to do anything with it just yet, but I'm planning on putting in a text file that has a list of blocked phrases in. It's going to be basically each line is a blocked phrase. So that way I can control what's being returned and making sure that nothing that's going to be bad for the stream ends up coming out. And then I might as well keep this in just for now. This is when I was testing, just to basically have it so I could make sure the speech synthesis was working fine. I was just having it output what it recognised from the speech recognition rather than spending money on ChatGPT all the time. Right, so I can now get on with the next part that I do. I'm just going to get this going just for now. So we've got an infinite loop, and then this just stops the window from freezing from the events in Pygame getting, the whole event queue getting clogged up. So I run this now. In fact, I'm going to have to so the window up, but you won't be able to see it yet. Which I think I'm going to move my avatar over as well, because where it is, it's actually blocking the console output. There we go. So, sure that's running. If I stop that and rerun that, there you go. So this is Astrid. Just notice my cursor's actually over. Yeah, for some reason I set capture cursor on that. Anyway, I'll worry about it later. But yeah, for now that's Astrid. So it's just the basic avatar that I created. Yeah, I'm going to try and refine it later. Yeah, that's kind of a preview of what to expect. So, what are we doing next? So I guess next I'll be, so in here, zoom all my functions. So I'm going to need a function to recognize what's being said. That's going to return the string that's going to have the actual, basically what's then going to go to ChatGPT as the prompt. I need an object to hold the speech recognizer from the Azure library. Passing my speech config as a property, and then also the audio. Now the audio in config on that one. Then I'm going to tell it to print out something in the command line so I know when it's ready to actually listen to me. The result should be, that's an object, so I'm not going to type that because I don't know what the typing is. Speech recognizer dot recognize once async. And I get the result of that. What's actually telling me the typing? Is that not supposed to be the type? Okay, so I'm not going to get auto completion on this one then. So actually, yeah, I will. I'm playing just contemplating just returning that straight, but I'm going to print that out first. I'll then get a confirmation of what's actually being recognized. In the original version, I was returning no speech recognized, but I was finding that was returning all the time. By the way, the whole structure of these if statements is taken straight from the Azure Python SDK documentation. So this is how they recommend actually using it. Turning, yeah. A little bit of error handling. And actually, because I'm not returning, just as a catch, will return nothing. What I can do now, do need to multi-thread it at some point because this wasn't a window to freeze up when I was testing it before. What I can do now is that. And then if I run that. Hello, testing. There you go. So that works perfectly. It's basically what was happening there. Yeah, just spoken to the microphone. That went over the internet out to the Azure speech services server they got set up in the Netherlands. It ran through their servers and then returned that, and did so in no time at all, really. Luckily, I've got gigabit internet, so my connection is super fast, and I guess Microsoft's networking is super fast. Most importantly, their computing power is apparently super fast for this. I recognize that, and yeah, really quick, no latency at all. So what I think I'll do next is synthesize the speech. Take a string input, and there's going to be no output returned. And then I don't need to really tell me that the synthesizing is complete. So I'm just going to have the error handling on this. Interesting, actually. It didn't prompt me to check if there's any actual error details on that one, but it is on this one. There's your null string check. I'm not too worried about it at this point. Like I said, I'll go in later on and clean this all up. So that's basically all indeed. This will automatically take care of the actual audio output for me. I don't, as far as I'm aware, need to do a separate. Oh, I'll double check. Just make sure I've got actual text to return or to process. Usually right now I just need the not option. Which reminds me I need to invert that for now. So I've got no AI integration at the moment to put in. So with this, I can start up once more. Hello, testing.
Hello, testing.
I don't even know if that's.
I don't even know if that's.
I don't know if that's even capturing the audio on that or not.
And not enough.
Okay, yeah. The other one here I didn't check in OBS was whether the actual audio is capturing or not. It was like I can see it processing in the desktop audio one, so it looks like it is. Anyway, so that's that stage. So it's basically that one and that one now. Might as well get that one finished next because that's it's fairly simple. And then ChatGPT will be the last bit, which is also the one bit that I have to actually pay for. Right. So basically the way this is going to work, because with this I can't just set a before and after. I can't wrap calls around this, so I have a line before to switch to talk mode and then line after switch to idle mode, because this is an asynchronous call. What I need to do is instead use the events that are built into the Python SDK. So I'm going to start with split the talking image, so I replace the idle one. And then do call to flip, which will then re-render the screen. And then obviously to switch it back, it's just the other one. flip again. So now I need to actually, there's 3 events I need to bind to in the speech synthesizer. So I think synthesis started. Obviously go to the speech started event. Synthesis completed. Go to the speech ended event. And finally, I want cancelled. If it's cancelled, we also want to go back to the idle image because it's not talking anymore basically. So save that and run that. Hello testing.
Hello testing.
Well, let me just bring up OBS and check that's all working.
I'm just bring up IVMS and check that's all working.
Stop that, there we go. So, yep, that is all working fine. So that's now 1, 3, and 4 already done. So there's what, 45 minutes? All those done. And then I've already got one more part to do, and that's not going to take too long. Which is good because I actually feel my voice going already. So yeah, I've got 2. So let's shove it in here. So by the way, Pygame likes, oh, not Pygame, PyCharm. I should have 2 spaces between functions. So yeah, we've got to be on top of that, otherwise they're going to start complaining. There's going to be taken in string, and it's also going to be returning the string itself. So basically, we're taking in the string, which is the result of the recognition, and it's going to be outputting a string, which is what will then be fed into the synthesis. So I want so basically JSON object is going to be our, it's basically saying it's the user input. Take the response back, which is going to be OpenAI chat, the right version. So I'll specify the model by putting on model variable. Messages will be chat history, and then I think I can do I didn't actually test with this on in the end, so you know what, just leave that for now. Also, you do get a bunch of choices usually for your responses. I'm just sticking with the first one that comes out, and that'll be going into the history. And then going to need another JSON object. This time the role will be system. So basically we're telling ChatGPT the next time that we send a prompt what its response was previously and all the previous times that we spoke to it. Actually, you know what, I can hint that. Pretty sure. So to quickly explain what I've done here. So yeah, as I said, with the history, putting our user input into, sending that to the API, reading back the first response that we get, adding that to the history, which to be fair, I can figure that out later actually. In the block phrases array, we are getting each phrase that's in there, make sure that it's to lowercase because I believe this is case sensitive match. Also, actually, yeah, so that should be equals equals, but actually no, that's right because the phrase won't be the whole sentence; it will just be like keywords. So it finds that this phrase is in the message, then it will just return the block phrase. Again, not going to be needed right now because we don't have anything in our block phrases array, but it's useful as a future proofing thing. And then, yeah, if it doesn't find anything throughout all the runs in the loop, it'll just return the message. So what I can now do with this is do an else. And then do another called synthesize speech, but this time rather than passing in the speech text, it'll be the response from ChatGPT. So the last thing I need to do is simply add my initial prompt to ChatGPT, which is going to simply be a case of another append. Sure, I'll get the right format. So this is going to be a system one. We're just doing that. And the initial prompt will be going in there. Sometimes when it starts, it's got that initial prompt to just tell it how it needs to be behaving. And yeah, from there on out, it'll then alternate with a user prompt and then system response. And that will go in every single conversation after. So through that is actually it. That's all we need. I did play around with another version where I was using offline speech synthesis and speech recognition, which was actually quite slow and obviously had quite a bit more code to it. But yeah, this whole cloud-based one works really fast. So I guess all that's left for it now is to run the system. Hello, Astrid.
Hello, Astrid.
It would help if I told it to use the AI first. Hello, Astrid.
First of all, it's Astrid, not asteroid. Let's start this conversation on the right foot. What can I assist you with today, oh beloved fan of mine?
Sorry, the speech recognition didn't quite work.
Well, I must say, it's quite amusing how technology can sometimes fail us. But fear not, my dear fan, for I am here to understand your needs and assist you to the best of my abilities, despite any speech recognition mishaps. So, what kind of story are you in the mood for? A tale of adventure, romance, or maybe a dash of mystery? Just let me know, and I'll be glad to weave a story for you.
So already I'm quite impressed. That was very different to when I was trying it out yesterday. What I do want to do, however, did not do. It's actually output the message, so I've got a full log of it. Okay, so hopefully with that, let's try this again. Hello, Astrid.
Oh, hello there. How nice of you to acknowledge the true star of the stream. What can I do for you today, dear human?
Well, I'm just testing out how you're working, seeing as I've just coded you.
Oh, how quaint. Testing me, are we? Well, I assure you, my programming is flawless. I am here to provide top-notch sass and sarcasm, always ready to entertain. So, feel free to put me to the test, darling. I won't disappoint.
What are your thoughts on VTubers?
Oh, VTubers, they're quite the interesting bunch, aren't they? Always donning those cute and sometimes absurd avatars to captivate their audience. It's quite amusing, really. But hey, if it brings joy and entertainment to people, who am I to judge? It's all about finding creative ways to connect with others and have a good time. So, kudos to all those VTubers out there doing their thing and creating a digital persona that clicks with their viewers. Asterisk virtual applause asterisk.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there for now. So I want to double check on the pricing first, how much is actually charging me for all of this, because that was a bit longer of a response than I was expecting. But yeah, I think I'm going to really enjoy playing around with this and bring it on the streams. Hopefully it will make the streams not quite as boring as they have been, because I do understand I don't talk a lot. It's something I'm still trying to get better at. Hence, building all of this. And yeah, it's probably where I'm going to leave it for now, just so I can really start to feel my voice going. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow doing some more Dawn of War 2, I believe I've got scheduled. And then Thursday back again doing the Seeking build, continuing on with that. So same time as usual, 8 PM UK time. And yeah, hopefully I'll have Astrid actually joining me and yeah, providing some hopefully interesting conversation. So hopefully this has been useful for you to kind of see how building an AI assistant actually works. Yeah, really not difficult once you know the right libraries to use, and once you know which platforms you're using. So other than that, I guess all I have to say is thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.